PMIA preparing for the annual L.B. Scott Memorial Lecture Series. Prime Minister presents legislative amendments to Parliament on cost-cutting measures. And President of SCDF explains the reason for Carnival 2021. Those are the headlines for Friday, January 22nd, 2021. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Clinton. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, news that St. Martin Carnival 2021 is on track and will be held in April of this year was a topic of discussion not only today, but this week and probably the entire remainder of the month. As many people have voiced their surprise, their disappointment, and their dissatisfaction with the news that the SCDF will be organizing their annual fete with government giving them the green light, the question was put to the president of SCDF, Mr. Alson Lawrence, as to why is the SCDF so determined to hold Carnival this year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He spoke to our news department.
I can't answer it very simply, but I can answer it looking at the context. Everyone is very pro-cancel, not everyone, but a huge amount of people are pro-canceling, let's cancel it, but they don't really understand the situation we're in. Firstly, we, as you know, we've discussed health, we've discussed all the issues and safety on the road. We've been doing this for years. And we have been a forerunner in a lot of things when it comes to the festival. Last year, after Curacao, Aruba, Trinidad, French St. Martin, we had two other festivals here on the island. All of those festivals with COVID-19 in the air as of January still had festivals. And all of those countries saw what happened right after. Our carnival, our road to Carnival starts on March, in the middle of March, and on March 15th, we joined the government in realizing this threat is real and we have no idea what to expect with all the fear going on around the world and seeing bodies and people dying and all. We decided to postpone our carnival. We were the first.
This was last year.
This is last year. We were the first. We did this 2 weeks before beginning. What that means is we were well on the way. All investments were made. Everybody was ready to go. Costumes were being fitted. That is the point that we postponed our last carnival. Now, here we go a year later. Every other carnival in the Caribbean has canceled because we did. Because we did, they did. And now we're seeing the biggest one, which is Trinidad, going through its first cancellation, which it canceled months ago. So it canceled before everybody got involved. So there's no loss. Now, why we need to do it? We need to do it because it is in line with what we are doing here on the island. The Prime Minister, in her New Year's message, welcomes people to the island and says, St. Martin, we are getting back, we're moving forward, and we're going to do the best we could do. Now, Carnival, we know it can be a very wild thing. Mostly the road. The road is the part that you really cannot control. We have success in controlling things in a controlled environment in the village for years. Remember, we put up the age limits, the drinking issues, everything from the lines in collaboration. We can control what happens inside. So we went to the Council of Ministers for months and months and months of planning and thinking and looking other places and seeing what's working and what's not working. We presented a plan to the Council of Ministers on January 7th. We tried to do that months before. However, the government is busy and they were dealing with all kind of things. We got the meeting. Either way, we got the meeting. Now that we got the meeting, they took another week and a couple of days to approve our protocols and measures we want to do. It wasn't so simple. They weren't easy. They asked a lot of questions in our 45-minute meeting, ended up a 2.5-hour meeting almost. They asked a lot of questions. We had to go home, answer these questions immediately, and back and forth with the Council of Ministers for that week or so. We got the green light last week, Friday. So Friday, today's the 20th. Anyway, we got it on the Friday, something around there. And immediately, because you just heard about the green light, immediately the public goes into an uproar because they don't understand how. Your question is why. So I'm answering why. Why is we have a big part of our community is already tied in to last year's festival and may want to recoup their losses. A cancellation right now is definitely a financial fallout for a lot of people who are already experiencing financial fallout for not making what they had to last year. Culturally, I don't think we want to sit down culturally and just hide in a corner until COVID is gone, because it won't be gone. It's still going to be around. Vaccinations, as we all can read, are coming in the middle of February, and hopefully that goes well. But COVID is going to be here for years. All the experts say that. What are we going to do? Wait until it's gone to start again? I don't think everybody can afford to do so. In the village, as the village key and the door open to the village, there's almost 800 people that work directly or indirectly for Carnival. 800. You're talking promoters, their teams of people, booth holders. You have 80 booth holders, and each one have at least 4 workers if they have a single booth, 8 if they have another booth. We have security personnel, we have cleaner personnel, we have everybody who works within that village, and sound and light engineers, GB, police. When we start to get into how much people work there, we realize if the government is saying, let us get back to the economy, if we're giving out stimulus, this is the best stimulus we have in many more ways than most people understand. Having a carnival is an attraction that the rest of the world is paying attention to. From this morning, we released our measures and protocols. I've gotten calls, messages from Trinidad, Antigua, St. Kitts saying, congratulations, we are paying attention. St. Martin was the first carnival to cancel with this thing in the air. We were the trend setter.
The SCDF president was also asked about the other countries that usually hold their carnivals earlier in the year.
Yeah, but we still pulled it in March. We pulled it out in March. They pulled it out. Yeah, and Regatta and SXM Festival were 1 week after Trinidad. So all of these things were, and Aruba and Curacao, all of them went on knowing that there's a threat out there. All of them went on. We did not. We said, look what's going on over there. Those people going into lockdown. Let us do the right thing. We did the right thing, and we were a trendsetter in canceling or postponing, whichever word we want to use, 2020 Carnival. Now we are asking and following the trend of the island and inviting people here to say, let us be the trendsetters in how to do a festival the proper way. We outlined close to 40 or 50 points in this, in our measures and protocols to make the place safer than anywhere else on St. Martin. Right now, and I need to point this out, and people, we have to really look at things clearly. Right now, the country is open. Right now, Pondville every night has activities. The village has activities, not through us, through the SOG. The Kimsha parking lot has activities. Maho has activities. Marigot, and let's don't even talk about Illage Road or Sandy Ground. The island is open.
And we will be featuring more with the SCDF president in Monday's broadcast. You will, however, be able to hear the entire interview with the SCDF president this Sunday, January the 24th, on the Voice of St. Martin Radio, PJD2, 1300 AM, and PJD3, 102.7 FM, from 2 to 3 p.m. on my program, Now You Know. And turning now to other news. On Thursday last, Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable Sylvania Jacobs, attended a closed-door meeting of the Committee of General Affairs of Parliament. During that meeting, she presented the legislative changes to 3 national ordinances for implementation of the cost-cutting measures per the conditions for receiving the second tranche of liquidity support from the Government of the Netherlands. To meet these conditions, St. Martin drafted the following 3 amending national ordinances in order for the cost-cutting measures to be enforceable. The first is a temporary national ordinance to amend the employment conditions of political authorities. This draft national ordinance will temporarily reduce the employment conditions of political authorities by 25% as of July the 1st, 2020. The temporary, which is the second one, the temporary national ordinance COVID-19 cuts employment conditions for civil servants. This draft national ordinance will temporarily reduce personnel costs by adjusting the terms of employment of public servants by 12.5% per July the 1st, 2020. And the third one is the temporary national ordinance on the standardization of top incomes and adjustments of employment conditions at semi-public sector entities. This draft national ordinance will standardize top incomes and reduce the employment conditions by 12.5% per July the 1st, 2020, within the semi-public sector to meet the conditions set by the Dutch government. During the meeting, there was a misunderstanding concerning what documents were confidential and what could be shared openly with members of Parliament pertaining to the country's package agreements concluded in December of 2020. These documents form part of a Kingdom Council of Ministers meeting, which also included letters from State Secretary Knops and as such were classified as confidential. Prime Minister Jacobs and her support staff were able to make clarifications regarding what is confidential and what is not. As the country's package agreements have now been signed and therefore established, it is now a document that can be shared openly. Prime Minister Jacobs apologized to the members of Parliament for the misunderstanding. Any unanswered questions posed by the members of Parliament will be sent in writing to Parliament before the handling of the national ordinances in a Central Committee meeting of Parliament to be held on Monday, January 25th, 2021. And still to come, Theophilus Thompson gives an update on workers that have been laid off. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save mortgage offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waiver of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save mortgage offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie von Putten. As we continue now in other news, speaking at this week's Council of Ministers weekly press briefing on Wednesday last, January the 20th, the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Rodolphe Samuel, was asked about online learning. The question was asked was that based on online studies for students prior to the reopening of face-to-face education, how successful was it?
As you speak about this, the Inspectorate of Education is busy with a follow-up online survey as to ascertain let's say the situation as it is now in regards to the online study. So what we did in the beginning, we had a first survey that dealt with the distance learning, and now we are having a follow-up survey after the first quarter in order to see how the progress has been made. And definitely the public can expect a decision on the present choice that we have chosen to begin with after the Christmas holidays, and we will update how we will move forward within a week or two.
And as we continue now in news out of the police blotter, officers of the St. Martin Police Force, KPSM, raided a home early Thursday morning located in the area of Over the Bank, looking for 2 male suspects who were allegedly involved in the knife attack that took place on Van Romantsteeg on December the 15th, 2020. On the night of December the 15th, 2020, around 7:15 p.m., the Central Dispatch received several calls concerning a man who was later identified with the initials VM, who was severely ill-treated by several suspects with a knife. During the attack, the victim suffered several lacerations to his chest and his face. The suspect, JB, resisted the arrest but was later brought under control by the officers. The second suspect, with the initials MB, was arrested without incident. Before being transported to the police station, a house search was conducted at the residence of the suspects. They were later taken to the police station in Phillipsburg, where they are being held pending further investigation. On Wednesday, January the 20th, 2021, the Central Police Dispatch received a call from a resident living alongside the Simpson Bay Lagoon on the airport road about a safe that was found in the lagoon. Due to the difficult location of the safe in the lagoon, the Coast Guard was notified to assist police retrieving it. After some struggle, the police patrol and one of the neighbors managed to get the safe out of the water. On closer inspection, the police patrol noticed that the back of the safe had been cut open with a grinder and the contents was removed. The police hereby is requesting persons with whom this safe may have been stolen from to contact the police station or file a complaint at the detective department. The detective department can be reached by calling telephone number 1721-542-2222, extension 204 or 205. Persons can also use the anonymous tip line by dialing 9300 or send a message to our Facebook page, which is Police Force of St. Martin - Corps Politie St. Martin. And now, as we turn to other news, President of WIFO, Theophilus Thompson, gave an update on workers that have been laid off. The WIFO head was at the time speaking at the Anti-Poverty Platform weekly press briefing on Thursday. He once again talked about, in particular, companies that are dismissing workers without following the proper procedures. The union head summed it up like this.
There are certain particular companies which are dismissing workers without following the right procedures. On a daily basis, we have an average about 10 employees coming to the WIFO building with complaints. These employees, we have been directing them to go to the labor office, but because either of absenteeism of some workers or short staff for whatever reason, and in many cases that we have heard, again, lack of knowledge and competency of laws, labor laws in particular, employees are very disappointed in representation. And it is important to inform employees that an employer has no right to dismiss an employee without getting permission. And permission is in 3 categories. Most important, 1 from the Labor Department, 2, a mutual consent, that's also if both parties agree, or going to the court and receiving permission to speak legally. So many employees are facing this threat of being dismissed for no obvious reasons, because if you were to make a request to the Labor Department for dismissal, you must present valid reason to justify your decision or your action. If that's not happening, employees should return to work regardless of what. Show up on the job, make sure you make a note of what's happening. Everything has to be in writing. You also make your notes, take your minutes. Never go to a meeting without having a pen and paper or record. Just make sure that the person knows that you're making a record of this meeting, this statement, because it is something that you're not agreeing with, or you have your views or your opinion that should be made known. So we hope that as we go forward for this new year, that there be more dialogue between the trade unions, the government, and employers, as the case may be.
And the Phillipsburg Mutual Improvement Association, the PMIA, is once again preparing for the annual L.B. Scott Memorial Lecture Series. The event is scheduled to be held on Thursday, January the 28th, and will start at 7:30 p.m. Due to the global COVID-19 pandemic, this year's 19th annual lecture, which will have as a keynote speaker Reverend Dennis Baptiste, will take place in a digital platform. This will be done under the theme Impact of COVID-19 on the Church. Coordinator of the L.B. Scott Memorial Lecture Series, Clayton Holliday, spoke to the Voice of St. Martin's News Department.
It's about the time of year where we generally have this very informative educational program, commonly by the household name of L.B. Scott Memorial Lecture Series, to be precise, the 19th production thereof. And this year we are, in light of the current status of things, we'll be having a virtual presentation.
A virtual presentation, can you elaborate a bit more?
Virtual in the sense that we will be having it via Zoom, where we will then send out all invitations and invites and links that everyone can tune in and listen in as they normally do at the hall in itself. We will miss our little hall because that brought it as the PMA family. But we are pleased to know that we have been able to muster it together, and then we will still continue so as not to bring a break in our presentation of the program to the public.
This will take place on the Thursday, the 20th of January, on the birthday of L.B. Scott. What will be the theme for this year's event?
The theme for this year is Impact of COVID-19 on the Church, and that will be delivered to you all by Brother/Reverend Dennis Baptiste, a member that has had the theological training as well, but is now helping out and joining in the church's ceremonies from time to time.
What time will the program get off to a start on the 20th?
This program will be delivered to you all punctually at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8:30, precisely an hour, seeing the platform that we will be using. And we will start on time so that we can really live up to what we said. Punctuality is the code of the day, that people cannot just sit and wait. So we'll do our best to be right on time and deliver the program that is always very informational and interesting to the folks.
January 20th, this will take place in a virtual setting. What platform will be used?
We will be using the Zoom platform, and all links will be forwarded to you by weekend so that you can get yourself in tune. And we ask that you reserve the time on Thursday, the 20th of January, for 7:30 sharp. You may start signing in from approximately 15 minutes before, and we will gladly await your joining in and your contribution.
Those persons who are planning to be part of this event on the 20th, will they be allowed to participate as well in the discussion?
Yes, there will be a question and answer series. However, at start, at inception, we will have all mics muted so that the program can be delivered, and then we open all mics, or as per request, to state and ask your questions, to make your comments and or ask your questions. We will then open the forum to you and then provide you with the privilege of the speaker then giving all answers to whatever questions you may have.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for January the 22nd, 2021. Patches of low-level moisture transported across the region by the light, gentle wind flow will trigger a brief shower across the local area. Otherwise, a dry and stable atmosphere will restrict significant precipitation. Slight to moderate marine conditions are predicted for the next few days. However, long-period northerly swells will begin to affect the Atlantic waters from Saturday morning. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. So the outlook through Sunday midday, fair to partly cloudy with brief showers. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Minister of Sports says COVID-19 has limited the use of sports facilities. I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast. Fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News. As we continue now in more news in this COVID-19 update, as of January the 21st, there were 5 persons who tested positive for COVID-19. However, 12 persons have recovered, bringing the total active cases to 127. The total number of confirmed cases is now 1,708. The Collective Prevention Services, CPS, are monitoring 126 people in home isolation. 1 patient remains hospitalized at the St. Martin Medical Center. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 remains at 27. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin has increased to 1,554. 227 people are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS. The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, the Airport Health Team, in collaboration with the Healthcare Laboratory St. Martin, HCLS, have tested 2,252 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport, while CPS tested 13,533 people throughout the community. As the numbers continue to fluctuate, CPS will continue to actively execute its contact tracing measures. Minister of Health, Richard Panafleck, continues to urge everyone to wear a mask, maintain a social distance of 2 meters, wash or sanitize your hands frequently, and refrain from attending mass gatherings. And now, as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this week, Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Dr. Rondas Rodolph-Samuel, was quizzed on Wednesday last at the Council of Ministers' weekly press briefing on the sport activities which have not been addressed recently and the situation of the sport facilities and what is being done to bring them up to par.
Limited the ability of the use of the sports facilities. Some sports facilities that can be used from outside, those are still being utilized. The others that that cannot be used on inside, they are not being used, or they are being used in a safe manner. Indeed, when I drive around and I look at the facilities on the island, they are dilapidated and they do need repairs. And the plans to make this happen is ongoing. I can do my best to update the media and the public of St. Martin on how far this is going in due time, and I will do that.
And with that, viewers, it brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening and also this week. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you for tuning in this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again on Monday. Do enjoy a safe weekend.